Good morning, friends, and welcome to Take Two for this Thursday, the 4th of July, 2019. Happy Independence Day, everybody. I hope you're having a great day, or at least gearing up to have a wonderful day, whether you're grilling or hanging around with friends or swimming in the pool or just enjoying this day. And wherever else you are in the world and you don't get to have a holiday like we do, so sorry about that. It's just an ordinary Thursday for you. But here in America, we do it big because we are very, very proud. Well, this is Take Two, and I am Jeanne, and I am so glad that you decided to take a few minutes out on your holiday to join me this morning. Well, I'd like to talk to you just a little bit today about somebody who's very important in my life, was very important in my life, and that is my Nana Pereno. Now, her name was Vincenza, and she came to America. Look at this. This is a picture from many, many years ago. It was a passport picture, actually taken in the 1950s when she went back to Italy and visited her relatives. But Nana came to America in 1921 with 3 children. She sailed across the ocean by herself without her husband, my grandfather, Mariano Pereno. I'll show you what they probably looked like back in those days. That would be my grandmother, Nana Vincenza Pereno, and this would be my grandfather, Mariano Pereno. Now, I never knew him because he passed away, sadly, when my dad was only 13, and my father was the youngest child, the only one born in the United States. He used to call him Figlio Americano, my American son. Now, this is my father with my grandfather, Mariano, when he was probably about 7 or 8 years old. So you could see he was a little bit older there. As I said, my father was the youngest of all the children. When they came to the United States, he was born 4 years later. Well, my Nana was very, very, very special to us. She knew very little English. She entertained us. I'll tell you, she was so funny the way she mispronounced things and all of that. But she would tell us great stories in Italian. And, of course, we would understand her because that's all she could really speak. So I started learning Italian or Sicilian dialect from the time I was a youngster. So here I am pictured with my sister Fran, and here I am, and here's Nana. We used to call her Rooster because she wore a tight corset, the old-fashioned corsets, and she would walk sort of like a rooster. So we started calling Nana Pereno Rooster from the time we were little, and she laughed, and she thought that was so funny too. But anyway, she was very special to us. She was kind, she was gentle, she was my father's mother, and she lived with us until the day she took her last breath, which was actually in the house that I grew up in. And she was very special. But one story she used to tell us when we were little was that when she was coming to the United States, she arrived December the 26th, 1921, and she had her 3 small children with her at her side. And she said she had Uncle Anthony, who was 6, Aunt Marie, who was 4, and my Uncle Roy, who was 18 months, I believe. And they're coming into the harbor, and they're sailing in, and she said she would, now this is many years later, as she's saying this, she's talking about how she was pulling into the New York harbor. It was cold, it was snowy, and there it was. And she said, "Guarda, la donna libertà," meaning I saw the Statue of Liberty, or the Lady Liberty, Donna Libertà. And as she would tell this story, tears would come down her face all those many years later, because she understood what libertà meant, which was liberty or freedom. See, she was coming from Italy. My grandfather Mariano, he had been to the United States several times because he has been a merchant seaman. So he'd been back and forth, and he actually set everything up for Nana to come with the 3 children and for them to have a new life in this new land, the land of libertà, the land of freedom and liberty. And so when she came from there and came to the United States, it was a whole new world that she was about to embark on. She left everything behind that was familiar with 3 small children on a long cross the ocean boat ride so that she could be in the land of libertad, the land of freedom and liberty. And I just really take my hat off to her, because that was a very brave thing she did, coming over here, a young bride like that, a young woman with 3 small children, and she came to America. And to this day, I remember that story she told us when I was I was probably around this age when she started telling that story about coming into the New York harbor and seeing that. And of course, my father was born a few years later. The rest is history. And of course, I tell people I'm this close to being a first-generation American because all of my cousins that came from that side all are first-generation Americans. And only because my father was the only child born in the United States was I a second-generation American. But what I'm trying, all this to be said is just please understand, I have great pride in being an American. My father was a very patriotic American. He served in World War II in combat to defend his country. And he taught us and instilled in us the value and importance of having respect for the American flag, having respect for our nation, and really believing that this is the best country in the world to live in. Oh, does it have its mistakes, and does it have its problems, and does it have its challenges? Certainly it does. There have been good leaders and bad leaders. There have been leaders that disagree with each other. So no matter who you voted for your governor, your mayor, your president, whatever, please remember it is important to support your nation. Always support your nation, and I'm not saying that you should support if evil things are being done. Don't get me wrong. You have your opinion, and that's important, but pray for your country. Pray for America. Love the fact that you have the freedom to fly your flag, because guess what, boys and girls, there's some places where you can't do that, and you risk that if you say something wrong that you could have your head lopped off. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to say I do love my country. I'm going to leave you with one last thing. In 1969, Red Skelton, the late great comedian and actor, was invited to speak at a high school, and he chose as his speech the Pledge of Allegiance. And he read this, and it was so beautiful. We have played this on RAM FM many times on patriotic days, but I think this is worth hearing one more time. This is Red Skelton's Pledge of Allegiance, and it goes like this. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly good to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion, to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of courage, and wherever she waves there is respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts, freedom is everybody's job. Of the united, that means we've all come together, states, individual communities that have united into 48 great states, 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose, all divided by imaginary boundaries, yet united in a common cause, that's love of country. This was originally written when there were only 48 states before Alaska and Hawaii. Of America, and to the republic, a sovereign state in which power is invested into the representatives chosen by the people to govern, and the government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands, one nation, meaning so blessed by God, under God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power for one to live his own life without fierce threats or any sort of retaliation, and justice, the principle and qualities of dealing fairly with others, for all, for all. That means boys and girls, it is as much your country as it is mine. So God bless America. Whether you agree with that or not, I just say that we are very, very proud and pleased. I know I am, to live in this nation. Now go be a blessing to somebody today. Tell them that you love your country. Please tell them that, and tell them how important it is to be mindful of that, okay? You may end up being the only one who says those kinds of things to them, and that is a blessing to them. So please go do that. And don't forget, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jeanne Sigler, JeanneSigler. Hit the subscribe button, and great 4th of July programming all weekend long, kicked off today on WRMFM. Don't forget, WRMZ.org. Tell Alexa to play it and kick it up and play it while you're having your cookout today, all right? Wherever you are in the world, you could be listening to that. All right, everybody. God bless America. I love you all very much. I'll see you tomorrow with my unsung hero of the week. Bye-bye.